All right, so good afternoon, friends. This is Miss Tara from the Warnersville Public Library. Thank you so much for joining us today so that we could make our fun kaleidoscope project here. Now, I want to go over just a couple things. I know you guys are super champs at attending these programs, but just in case, if the kiddos that would maybe watch this video in the future didn't know, we'll go over what we normally do at these programs to be a stellar STEM person, right? So firstly, we keep our audio off so that you can hear me well until the end of the program. Okay, thumbs up for that. Yeah, thumbs up. Oh, very good. Okay. Also, if you have any questions at any time, that's completely fine and encouraged. Please, if you can, type it into the chat box for me. If not, if you need to use your audio, you can just make sure that you raise your hand for me, and I will try my best to make sure that I'm looking up enough so that I can see your hand if you raise it. Does that all sound good to everybody? Can I have moose antlers if that's agreeable? Awesome. All right, very good. Another thing you might have noticed or heard, as Mr. Tim normally mentions, we started the recording, so we normally upload these videos to YouTube within a couple weeks of the program. Sometimes it takes a little longer because we do have to edit them before we put them up. But if you have to leave the program at any time, that is a-okay. If you're just leaving the program permanently for the day, just please let me know because I like to take a couple pauses to make sure that we're all on the same page. So you might notice that this looks a little different as to how we've been doing it in the past couple months here. So normally I have Mr. Tim and he's running this side of it for me, and I'm normally at the table so that you can see me a little bit farther back. But my coworker, Mr. Tim, is on vacation today, so he's not here. So I thought instead of trying to be two places at once, I would just come back and do it how we used to do it months ago, and I hope that that's okay. So we're just a little bit closer today, but I'll make sure that I pull everything up so you can see it in my hands. Sound good? Awesome. You guys know that I'm fans of thumbs ups. All right, so let's get started, okay? So today we are going to be working on making our very own kaleidoscope. Now, I will say that this will be a little different from a kaleidoscope that you may buy at the store, where normally there's mirrored pieces on the inside of your kaleidoscope, which allows for a clearer view. We're going to be using aluminum foil or tin foil that you may call it. So it is more of a cloudy look overall for the light that is refracting, but it's still a lot of fun and I think you guys will enjoy it. So just kind of wanted to give that heads up. If at any time after we do this program, if you really enjoyed it that much, you could always get a hold of something called Mylar sheets. I will type that into the chat box so that you guys can see how it's spelled. This is actually a mirrored sheet that you can get online. It's a little bit more expensive, but it shows up kind of like a mirror that you would have in your bedroom or your bathroom, and it would give a clearer overall picture. So if you end up enjoying this, you could replicate like a scientist the same program, except change what we're using today and use Mylar sheets instead. But today we're making kaleidoscopes because we want to talk about light, reflections, and symmetry. Who can tell me in the chat box what they think symmetry is? Who has an idea? And if you don't, that's okay too, because we're here to learn together. But I'll give just another moment to see. I think someone might be typing something. And there's no wrong answer here either. Okay, let's see. Vanille and Vivek say symmetry is one side of something is equal to the opposite side. Very good. That is a great description of what symmetry is. Yes. So symmetry is if you have two halves that make up a whole, you'd have the same thing that's on this side would always be the same on this side as well. So if we had two paintings, and this painting had 15 polka dots and they were all in one specific spot, the other side of this painting would also have the same 15 polka dots in the same spots. So if something, the more that something is alike, the more symmetry it has. Who can tell me what they think a reflection is? Do you know what a reflection is? So like when you look into your mirror and you're able to see you, that's a reflection. Can you kind of describe what you think it is? And I'm just allowing for pauses here so you have time to think about it too. Thank you to everyone being patient while we think about this. And Colton and Dylan, thank you for coming today too. It was nice to see you guys earlier. Hello. All right, so Vanille and Vivek said a reflection is when light bounces off of a shiny object and it creates an image, but backwards. Very good, very good. That's awesome. So that is definitely what it is, 100%. So that's actually what we're going to be doing today, and we're going to be doing that with some simple objects. Like I said, it's going to be a little less clear the way that we're doing it, but let's go ahead and go over what came in our kits, okay? Now remember, when we have our kits, normally like this week, there's 2 separate programs in each kit. So we have today's, and then we'll also have next week's. So you just want to make sure that we're only using what we need for today so that you have enough for next week as well. All right, so first, you're going to want some aluminum foil. And this can get crunched up pretty easy. So I would say try your best to keep it as flat as possible. I know mine has a little bit of some wrinkles in here, but see how reflective it is? Very good. Can everyone show me how reflective their aluminum foil is? Oh, very good job, everyone. See how the light is bouncing off? Awesome. All right, so we've got that. You're also going to have in your kit a toilet paper roll. So make sure you have one of those. Very good. R. Right? All right, so we got that. Next, you're going to have a straw. And this is specifically a bendy straw. The bendy part is important. So make sure you unbend your bendy part. Okay, see the bend? All right, very good. All right, and then you're also going to have some cardstock. So this is a thicker paper. All right, does everyone have their cardstock? I just want to make sure. Very good. All right, it looks like everyone has it. Awesome. So I'm going to show you a picture of what we're going to end up making here. This is off of my notes. See this picture here? This is our kaleidoscope. So there's actually 2 of them there, but you may notice that they're very colorful. What I would suggest is you would wait to either color or paint or wrap the toilet paper roll in paper until the end of the program if you have time. But you may notice here that we have this green straw. Here's our cardstock. Okay, and then the tin foil, the aluminum foil, goes on the inside, and we're going to walk through this together. But can everyone let me know in chat that they have all the materials that came in the kit, or just give me a thumbs up? Thumbs up? Very good. Okay, great. All right. So the only other thing I'd like to go over with you before we get started is a couple things that didn't come in our kit that we're going to need. Okay, firstly, you're going to need a pair of scissors. So make sure that you have at least 1 pair of scissors. Now I'm using adult scissors, but if you have kid scissors at home, that's fine too. We just make sure that we always point them down and not up, okay? That's not safe to point them up. So we always keep them pointed down, even when we're walking, which you guys are smarty pants, so you already know that. Another thing we're gonna need is some tape. So I have masking tape, but you can use Scotch tape as well. And we're only gonna need one piece per kaleidoscope. So we're not gonna need a lot, but just make sure that you have some tape on hand. Okay. And then finally, I'm looking around our area here. You're gonna want some markers or some pens. I'm gonna use this blue marker and this blue pen today. But if you have a couple different colored markers or colored pencils, or even crayons, but the markers will show up the best if you have them. I would say this is actually a little bit more STEAM today than STEM because we are using our creative juices a little bit more. And we will have time to just work on that when we get to that as well. But can I get moose antlers again if everyone has those things? Oh, very good, very good. Awesome, friends. I'm so proud of you for that. All right, thank you so much. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take our tin foil, okay? So our goal is we have to cut 3 sheets out of our tin foil, 3 strips that are all the same length that will eventually end up fitting into our tube. So what I would suggest is that if you don't have a measuring stick or a ruler, you put your tube up against your tin foil here. Okay, you see how long your tube is compared to your tin foil, and you make a little mark to note how long it is, okay? You could either mark it with like your nail, just put a little scratch in it, just so you know that it's as long as your tube. All right, once you do that, it gets a little tricky again once you remove the tube, but you want to make sure that you cut a piece here that you can cut into 3 pieces. So I'm just going to cut this square out because I now know that it's the same length as my toilet paper roll. And I'm going to put the excess tin foil to the side. Okay, so I have this square now that you can see is just as long as my toilet paper roll. Okay, so remember, friends, you put your toilet paper roll up to your sheet, you measure it against your tin foil, and when you get to the point where it's long enough, you make a little mark with your nail or even with a pen, and you cut that out, and we're going to cut this square into three pieces that are the same length, okay? Same width and same length. So I'll do it so you can see it from here. Okay, so I'm going to cut this. And then same thing with this one. Now this does not have to be perfect, and you'll see even from my end it won't be. But you'll cut that square into 3 separate strips per kaleidoscope that you're making. Okay, see how they're all 3 different strips? 1, 2, and 3. Now I'll wait until everyone has their 3 strips cut. And then once you have your 3 strips cut, if you can make the silliest face that you can, I'll know that you're ready to move forward. And don't worry if this takes a little bit of time, that is completely fine. You guys are doing great. When you have all 3 strips cut, hold it up and make the silliest face that you can so I know that you're finished. Oh, okay. How about you? Are you done? Are you still working? No, you're not done yet? Oh, Colton and Dylan are done. Those are silly faces too. Very good, guys. All right. We'll just give it one more minute to finish up so we're all on the same page, friends, okay? And for this next step, that's when you're going to want some tape. So make sure that you have some tape on hand. Scotch tape would probably be the best, but if you have to use masking tape, that's okay too. All right. Let's see. Vanil and Vivek, do you both have yours done? You're both cut in the strips? Very good. All right, friends. So we're all completely done there. So our next step is we're going to take all three of these strips here and we're going to put one piece of tape in between each of them, but make sure you leave a little bit of space. So let me show you. I'll get one piece of tape off of here. And it doesn't have to go the entirety of your strip. But I've got one piece of tape I just put on, and I'm gonna leave a little space, and I'm gonna put the other side on. And do your best if you can to not crinkle your tin foil as much as possible. But see how they're now taped together? And then I'm gonna do that one more time and put the third one on the end. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my third one on. All right. There we go. Okay. So now I've got all three pieces taped together. So you guys keep working to get those taped together, okay? Guys are doing great. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys have been doing so wonderful over the last year. So when you have your sheet taped together, make sure you hold it up so I can see it, okay? And I know the pieces are a little thin, so just try your best to be careful. You can also very gently try to smush out the crinkles in your tin foil if you'd like to. Some of them are going to stay put, and that's okay. But you can kind of very gently, without ripping it, just slide your fingers across the tin foil to just make it a little more flat if you want. Because the flatter your tin foil will be, the more you'll be able to see the reflections of the light. Okay. See how much shinier it got like this? All right, let's see. How's everyone doing? Do we have it taped together? Or mostly? Good? Oh, very good. That looks great. All right. Awesome. So if we're ready to move forward, we'll talk about the next step here. The next step is we want to take our three cut pieces and we want to fold it into a triangle shape, okay? So it's a little tricky because it's thinner, but this is where I said it does not have to be perfect. But you want to just generally get a triangle shape like this, and we're going to tape the top together so it keeps that triangle shape. Now it's kind of hard to see from this angle because it's not taped together yet. But remember, you're going to fold it up like a burrito so that you make a triangle shape. Once you make that triangle shape, you want to use one piece of tape to tape it together at the top so that it can keep its shape. I'm going to take my piece like this. And if you have to, you could always ask for an adult's help, but you can always put your finger on the inside while you're smushing the tape down so that you don't crush your tin foil too. Otherwise, it can be a little tricky. But the great thing is you can always put your finger back inside to refold it out too. See, just like this. And like I said, when we do science, it's not about perfection. It's about the learning. So mine doesn't look like an exact triangle, and that's okay. Kind of looks like a silver hot dog or a stapler. Very good. That looks great. All right, once you get the shape done, you're going to want to very gently settle it inside your toilet paper roll so that it keeps that triangle shape. And it should fit in there snugly on its own. If you have any extra tin foil hanging out like I do, you can just fold it along the edge of the toilet paper roll, and that'll actually keep your tin foil secure. But if you don't have any extras, that's okay. But the nice thing about the tin foil is that it will stay that way once you fold it over. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other end where it's hanging out a little bit. It's going to keep that triangle shape, but I'm going to fold the excess over the side of the toilet paper roll. So then that way the inside stays as flat as possible. And we can see everything that we need to see. Like this. So this is ultimately what you want to kind of end up with. But try your best to keep that triangle shape if possible. Now remember what I said, friends, the tricky thing about tinfoil is it's not a Mylar sheet, so it's not a mirrored image sheet. So eventually at the end of this, we'll see more like colors rather than exact patterns. But you can always challenge yourself to try it with a Mylar sheet if you wanted to, which would give it more of an exact reflection. Okay. Once you've got that in there, please let me know, okay? A thumbs up would suffice. Hope you can see I'm all smiling under here. Looks like Colton and Dylan are doing pretty good. Yeah? Vanille and Vivek, just take your time getting it in there, okay? It's okay if it changes shape a little bit as it's going in. Oh, there you go. Awesome. How's everyone doing? Okay? Very good. How about Colton and Dylan? Is there anything I could help with, or is it going okay? Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry about that. Makes total sense. Okay, friends, we're just going to wait and be patient, okay? Because we all move together at once. So Colton and Dylan are having to make a little bit of bigger triangles, and that's a-okay. In the meantime, you could pretend to be a pirate. Hey, who knows what a pirate's favorite letter is? Does anyone know?
Say it.
R. R.
R. The letter R. Very good. All right. Okay. So I think we're about ready to move on to the next step. If not, I can always come back to, but friends that are ready, if you could pick up your straw for me. Okay. Gonna make sure, like I said, that you pull out the bendy part. R. Pull out the bendy part of your straw, okay? And you're gonna wanna cut it right about here. Okay, so take your scissors and go boop and cut your straw. Just like that. All right. So if you've gone ahead and have cut your straw, remember, cut it after the bendy part. So this was the top of my straw where we'd sip, and I cut it halfway down the straw. So this would have been the middle of the straw here. It was, if I can find my other spot, this was the straw before I cut it, like this. And then see where I cut? So right about like an inch, 2 inches down from the bendy part of your straw. And you only want this part. Once you have that cut, you can go ahead and you're going to tape that cut straw to the top of one side of your kaleidoscope. And you just need to put one piece of tape here. Okay. Like that. This is what's going to be holding our cardstock on after we make our wheel. It's just like this. Once you have that taped on, make sure you hold it up for me so I can see it. Oh, very good, Colton and Dylan. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. How about Vanille and Vivek? Do you have your straws taped on? Okay, very good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and set this down for a second, okay? So what we're gonna do now is you're gonna take your cardstock. Okay. So we're gonna want to draw a circle on our cardstock. And this is where if you would have a ruler on you, it might help, but you don't have to, or something that you could draw. If you could have something that you could draw a circle from, like I'm going to use this tape to draw my circle onto my cardstock. Now your cardstock might be half this size because we're only making one circle. I just have a larger piece of the library, so don't fret if this seems bigger. But you're going to want to draw one circle onto your cardstock. So you could use a pencil for that or a marker if you'd like, but just go ahead and draw that circle on, or if you don't have anything to trace for your circle, you could just make a general circle shape. It does not have to be perfect in any capacity, but this was my circle here. So we'll take about a minute, 2 minutes to do that. If you have a cup at home, you could always, you want it to be a little bit bigger than the bottom of a cup, but you generally want it to end up looking like this. So see, we have our circle here for our cardstock, and we're going to end up putting one pencil-sized hole in the middle. That'll be so we can slip it over top of our straw. So you want to make, right here, you want to make a circle of cardstock. And then with some adult help, you want to make a middle hole in the middle that's the size of a pencil. So while everyone's working on that, I'm going to work on cutting out my circle. Okay. So like I mentioned, you're kind of trying to go for around 3.5, almost 4 inches. But if that's not possible, that's okay. It can be a little smaller than that. And you'll see once I'm done cutting my circle that my circle is certainly not a perfect circle. See? Once you've cut out your circle, you want to make a pencil-sized hole in the middle of your cardstock. That might be easier to do if you have a sharpened pencil that you could just poke through the middle. But if you don't, you can, with some adult help, you can make a puncture hole with your scissors. But you want to be careful with that because you don't want to hurt yourself. It can be very sharp, but it is possible to do it this way. And it should be about a pencil-sized hole or the size of your straw, because that's how you're going to slip it on. Over top of the straw is to have that sized hole in the middle, just like this. If you have any extra paper coming off, that's okay too. You can just trim that off. And just for good measure, make sure that it fits over top of your straw piece on your kaleidoscope. That way, hopefully it's not too big that it would fall off, but it's not too tight that you can't rotate it, because you're going to want to be able to spin the wheel. So it'll look like this from the front, and it'll look like this from the back. So once you have tested out the size of the hole there, please hold it up so I can see that we're all on the same page. We're not taping this on or anything. We're just making sure that the hole is big enough that it can fit on top of our straw so that we'd be able to spin it. Oh, Colton and Dylan are on the ball. Very good, guys. That looks great. All right, Vanille and Vivek, let's see. Are you guys still cutting stuff out? That's what I think we're doing. That's okay. We have more than enough time, guys. So Colton and Dylan, since you're already to that point, to give Vanille and Vivek some time to continue cutting and then work on the next step. What I'd like you guys to do is you're going to pick one side of your cardstock, okay? Not both, only one. And you're going to draw some designs on your cardstock. So here I have another example picture. So sorry if it's a little blurry. So you can, it does not have to look like this, but these are just examples. So using your markers that you'd have or some pens, you can draw some circles, you can draw some lines. Remember how we talked about symmetry earlier? You can see here that both sides of this circle are not symmetric. Can anyone tell me why we would not consider this cardstock circle to be not symmetric? I can always tell you too if I know you guys are busy. So if we count the amount of circles that are on this side, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 circles. And if we count how many hearts are on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's less hearts than there's circles. And they're two different shapes. So both sides of this circle are definitely not symmetric. There's not a bunch of symmetry here. Even if you look at this side to this side, see the lines, everyone? See how the lines are curving here, sort of like little letter C's, and there's a bunch of them and there's different lengths. Whereas on this side, there's a bunch of lines, but they're not together. They're splayed out, they're stretched out. There's definitely not symmetry here. Can everyone see that? Give me moose antlers if you think you see that. Oh, very good. Okay, I still got some moose antlers. Very good. Awesome. All right, so we're going to take the next 5 minutes. Oh, here, it's a little clearer now. It's less blurry now. So go ahead and create a design. You decide whether or not you want your design to have symmetry or not. If it could be less simple than this, if you want to have 6 circles on one side that are brightly colored and 4 circles on the other, or if you want to have symmetry, you'd have 6 circles on one side and 6 circles on the other. And you could have them be all different colors. That's going to actually help when you're using your kaleidoscope, especially because we're not using the Mylar strips. So just make sure that you only decorate one side. So if this is the side I'm decorating, I'm going to leave this side blank. So one will stay white, the other side will have decorations. And I'm going to get started with that. I think I'm going to make some blue lines. I'm kind of inspired by that picture I just showed you guys. And it's a lot of fun to use a bunch of different colors too. And this is where the STEAM aspect comes out a little bit more today than just the STEM. So see, this is what I've started doing. I started drawing some blue lines here. And I think on the other side, I might do the same thing so that we have it be symmetric. So it should have symmetry, which means I should have the same amount of lines. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines on one side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So see, I have some symmetry here. So this is the really fun time just to be able to draw and make lines if you'd like, or if that's not your thing, you could even just color different parts of your cardstock circle to make it a little bit more colorful. This is what I've decided to do so far. Let me see. Oh, very cool. I love that. I see some color. I see some lines. That's awesome. Good job. I'm testing out mine right now. It's kind of cool because you can see a little bit of the lines as it's turning. And I do think brighter colors work best with this, but any color will work just fine. I think I'm going to add even more colors to see if that'll help. Very good, Vanille and Vivek. That looks great. Oh, here, can you hold it a little bit closer to the camera, Colton and Dylan? Oh, I love the shading and the lines. Very cool, the green and blue. That's awesome. Great job. Oh, Vanille and Vivek, I love the dots. That is awesome. So cool. Very gifted. Very colorful. Okay, I used an almost worn out black marker to add some darkness to the pink glitter pen. I like that. It sounds like maybe they'd be stars or out in space. So we'll give it about 4 more minutes to decorate your circle, and then from there, we'll have you test it out. Now, I know I've said this several times today, friends, but just remember, because we're using tin foil, it is more of a muted reaction to be able to see the reflections on the inside, but it definitely still works. I mean, if you can tell when you're doing it in the very flattest parts of your tin foil, I can see the reflections great. Also, it helps the more that you, as you spin your part of your kaleidoscope here, the more light that you let in, that also helps as well. So this is what the front of my kaleidoscope looks like. See, and you can kind of see it. I'm not left-handed, but I'm spinning it so you can tell. See? Okay. And then this is what the back looks like. So you want the pattern side to be the side that is showing towards the middle of your tube. You want the plain side to be on the outside. I'm just showing you guys, I know it's a little blurry on my end, but see right there? You can even see a lot of the reflections here too. It's pretty cool. I think it helps as well. Like I drew little stars in there. And those seem to kind of pick up well also. Now the fun thing is you don't have to put your eye like right up to this. You can just look on the inside and spin and see it. But if you want to put your eye up to it, that's really cool too. How's it going? Can anyone see anything? Did it work out? Colton and Dylan, how did yours turn out? Do you want to share? If you want, you're more than welcome to turn your audio off for this point or not. You don't have to if you don't want to. But if you'd like to share, you're more than welcome to.
We're still working.
Still working on it? That's okay. All right, how about Vanille and Vivek? Did you want to share?
So I went outside and I got extra sunlight. So then the sunlight reflected through the tiny like holes, and then it reflected onto the aluminum foil, but which made the like which kind of made the colors start like coming onto the aluminum foil.
Okay. Awesome. That's wonderful. I'm glad that you knew to use the sunlight for that. That's great.
I actually turned my thing backwards first.
Oh, did you by accident? That's okay. That's all a part of learning, right?
Yeah, and Vanille reminded me.
Oh, very good. See, that's a nice brother. That's awesome.
I think we'll hypnotize people.
Say that one more time.
I think we'll hypnotize people.
You can go hypnotize people with your kaleidoscope. Yeah, maybe. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Woo.
Dylan, tell Tara what you think you made. What is that? What did you call it?
A motor of a boat.
A boat motor? That's awesome. That had to be a magical boat then.
It's kind of like a full boat. Like if you hold it up like that, this part sticks in the water and this pushes back the straw, and then the toilet paper is where you sit.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And I love that you're using your imagination that way.
Guess what? It's pigs underwater.
See, I love that. And I wonder if you guys went and stood in the sun a little bit too to see how that would work out too. That's wonderful. Thank you for using your imagination.
Okay.
Did you guys have fun today? Yeah? Thumbs up for fun? Very good. All right, awesome. Did anyone have any other questions for me before we go today? You guys did great.
Go ahead, Colton.
I was making complicated stuff. I'm not done yet. And see, I made Lego bricks.
Oh, I love that.
There's 3-sided ones and stuff. We're working on it though.
That's okay. You feel free to take your time. That's no problem. You're doing great.
These are crayons. There you go.
You're doing wonderful. Well, we can definitely hang out for the next couple minutes if Colton, if you want to continue working on it, and then you could share at the end. Does anyone else have anything to say? And that's okay if you don't either. Sorry, guys, I'm still here. My eyes just watering real quick. Dylan's like dancing. Well, I will show you an example. So I have this picture here. Like I said, we use tin foil. If you would use Mylar strips, it kind of gives this look as well. So a little bit more like a regular kaleidoscope because it has, it's hard that it blurs here, because it has more of the more reflective aspect to it. But I still think what we made was pretty cool. And the fun thing is if you have extra cardstock, you can always make different designs, or you could always use the back of the one that you already made and make different designs on there and then flip it over and try those out too. But that's up to you. All right, friends, we just have a couple minutes left. I am gonna let us go if no one has any other questions, but I will remind you guys that we will have our STEM program again next week. I think, well, everyone I believe got the email, but we have the STEM program next week. The following week is a Snapology program. So they're doing Animals of the Desert as our last Snapology program for the summer. That one you do have to register for separately through Snapology. So make sure that you go to that link on Facebook. I believe there's 6 spots left if you're interested in that. And then we're going to be taking a 2-week planning break. After that, that'll take us into September. After that time, we'll have one more STEM. And then after that, as I mentioned before, I'll actually be away on my honeymoon at that time. So we'll have a couple weeks where we won't have STEM. But then after I come back, we'll get all started again. So I know that's a lot of info, but oh, did you finish, Colton?
Well,
Oop.
no, I dropped it.
Oh, that's okay. No worries.
Show her your wheel.
Go ahead and spin it. Very good. Oh, I love those. Those are so awesome.
I'm very good at drawing Lego bricks, and I did feel it just fell out. Put back in there, didn't fly out.
Well, that's okay. The good thing about this is you can always fix it.
I know.
Thank you for sharing.
I'm really good at Legos and stuff, and I love Legos. I have lots and lots of Legos, and I have Legos usually like everywhere, usually like across my room and stuff. So
Well, that's okay. That means that you're playing with them.
I know.
That's good.
I have a whole display case of them even.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day. See you later, alligators. We'll see you next week, hopefully.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. Oh, I see. Vanille and Vivek said, I'm going to combine my rainbow spectroscope with my kaleidoscope. Oh, that would be amazing. That's a great idea. You should definitely try that. And then tell us what happens next time we get together. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night. Good weekend. Bye, friends.